Argentina, Portugal, England, Spain. Not much has changed about these teams between last year and this year, but there are a handful of nations who have seen a huge power shift within the last 1 year, and we're here to talk about them. These are 7 nations whose main man changed this year. We'll start with Brazil. Ahead of this World Cup, Brazil's main man was Neymar. Yes, he'd not played for the national team in years, but he was still the guy everyone looked to because, in his absence, no one was able to step up and take his crown. Viní, Raphinha, Rodrygo, Estêvão, all of them tried, but none of them could really establish themselves as the new face of the Brazil national team. Well, until this World Cup. Vini had previously been unimpressive for the Seleção, but things changed massively at this tournament. With Neymar still out, Vini took the bull by the horn and started to make things happen for Brazil. He almost single-handedly carried Brazil to the knockout rounds with his goals in the group stage, finishing as the second highest goalscorer of the group stage and the only player to be named man of the match in all 3 group stage games. Perhaps it's Carlo Ancelotti being at the helm that's brought out the monster in Vini for Brazil, but at this point, it is just very clear that the Real Madrid man is now Brazil's main man, so Neymar can now properly bow out. The Vini era has officially begun. Another team in the new era right now is Morocco. 4 years ago, it was the Ziyech and En-Nesyri show. At the AFCON last year, it was the Brahim Diaz show. But this year, at the World Cup, things have really changed. It is now the Ismail Saibari show. Not many were looking at him to do too much in this tournament, but he really just came out of nowhere and started to make history. He scored in every group stage game at this tournament to become the first African player to ever score in each of his own team's 3 group games at the World Cup. He also became the first African to score 3 goals in a single edition of the World Cup since Asamoah Gyan did so back in 2010. Bayern Munich were interested in him before the tournament started, but you could argue that his performances made them get the deal done more quickly. Of course, you can still argue that Achraf Hakimi is still one of the main guys at Morocco, but with the frequency at which Saibari is scoring and winning points for the Atlas Lions, you just have to say that he is the main guy right now. And the hosts at this World Cup have also seen power change hands this year. For years, Christian Pulisic has been the USA's main man. They call him the LeBron James of soccer, Captain America, and other names that reflect his importance in the US men's national team. But it's pretty safe to say that his crown has been successfully snatched this year. The name that's now being sung by the Americans is that of Folarin Balogun. He only just pledged allegiance to the USA in 2023 and wasn't even in the squad for the Copa America 2 years ago, but he is now undeniably the nation's main man. And well, to be fair, 2 goals and 2 Player of the Match awards in your first 2 World Cup games on home soil would do that for you. This year, Balogun became the first American to score more than 1 goal in a single World Cup game since 1930. He has become the man whose name is most sung on the streets of America, and he's now the one the fans look to make something happen in the US men's national team. With the 2026 set to hold in the US, everyone anticipated that it would be Pulisic to light things up, but it's a different name on everyone's lips right now. There can be no doubt that the former Arsenal man is the nation's new main man. Their co-hosts Canada have also seen their main man change this year. For years, it's always been Alphonso Davies. He is the captain and the biggest name as far as Canadian football is concerned. He scored Canada's first ever goal at the World Cup, which coincidentally was the nation's only goal at the 2022 edition. So you could say that he actually earned his status as the nation's main man. However, injuries have made it difficult for him to make a real impact in recent years, and in his absence, other players have had to step up. With minimal contribution from Alphonso Davies, Canada have made it to the round of 16 of the World Cup for the first time in their entire history. Who is the nation's main man now? Well, some would say it's Jonathan David, the first North American player to score a World Cup hat-trick in 96 years. Some others will say it is Steven Estaquio, who's been captain in the side in Alfonso's absence and also got the injury time winner in Canada's first ever World Cup knockout game. Whoever your choice is, one thing is certain: Alphonso Davies has surely been dethroned as Canada's main man. But in Senegal's case, it doesn't feel like dethronement, it's more like a passing of the baton. For years, Sadio Mane had been the nation's main man. In fact, he was named player of the tournament at the AFCON at the beginning of the year. But having watched the World Cup so far, it's pretty clear that he's simply no longer the main man. And well, at 34, it only makes sense that he's slowly declining. From the beginning of this World Cup, Mane seemed ready to pass the baton, and it seemed like it was Ismaila Sarr who took it and ran with it. In the group stage, the Crystal Palace man became the highest scoring Senegalese in World Cup history. He also became the first Senegalese player to both score and assist in a single World Cup game when he did so against Iraq in a performance that helped Senegal qualify for the knockout rounds despite looking out of it after the first two games. Sarr has very quickly taken up the mantle and he's now establishing himself as Senegal's main man. And it's pretty much the same theme with Colombia. James Rodriguez has been the nation's main man for some time now, but he's now aging and has had to pass on the baton. His natural successor is Luis Diaz, a man who has established himself as one of the deadliest attackers in the world following his move to Bayern Munich. He made his World Cup debut this year, and in that game, he scored, provided an assist, and was named player of the match. He really took no time to tell the world that this is his team now. Quite poetically, his exploits in that game imitated the captain himself, as Diaz became only the second Colombian to score and assist in a World Cup game after, of course, James Rodriguez. It is obvious that the baton has been passed here. Colombian football is now in the Luis Diaz era, and they'll be looking to him to take them further than James was able to 12 years ago. Finally, the Netherlands have experienced a big switch this year. Memphis Depay has been the nation's main man for quite some time now. He is the nation's all-time top scorer and has always been the guy the fans look to bang in the goals. But that's not been the case in this tournament. In fact, the 32-year-old former Man United man no longer starts. Who's the new main man? Well, some will tell you it's Cody Gakpo, who's now one of the 3 highest scoring Dutchmen in World Cup history after his brace and man of the match performances in the game against Sweden. Others will tell you it's Brian Brobby, who got his first World Cup start against Sweden and just decided that he would never return to the bench again. He scored 2 goals in that game to become the first Dutchman to score a brace on his first World Cup start since 1974. He'd go on to add another goal to that against Tunisia to finish as one of the nation's top goal scorers in the group stage. Whatever your pick is, one thing is sure: Memphis Depay is no longer the main man in that Netherlands national team. Anyway, it's now time to hear from you guys. Do you agree with our points in this video? What other nations have seen their main man change this year? Get in the comments and talk to us. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so that you never miss out on new content. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Average players train hard, elite players train smart. We didn't just build a mat, we engineered a blueprint for the 1%. Every line, every angle, and every drill was crafted through months of studying elite player biomechanics. Translate muscle memory into matchday dominance. Goal 90's own training mat comes with the app to take you to the next level. Get yours today.